Now, once again, we go to Massey University Studios in New Zealand to watch Lionel and Argentinian musician Emilio Bertrand talk about Bolero. They will uncover some of the mysteries around the origins of Bolero, its links with African music, and its deep connections to romantic love all over Latin America.
Well, amigos, so this time we've been talking about Bolero, and we've been falling in love with Bolero because that's exactly what happens when you listen to this wonderful romantic music that is so essential to understand Latin American romanticism and sentimentality. And I'm here with Emilio Bertrand, who is not only an expert on tango, but also dwells in Bolero too, because I mean, and both are connected, Bolero and tango, similar times, different places, but there are a lot of similarities between them.
Similarities, yeah. And at the beginning, both of them been played only with guitars. So the big difference maybe it's that the Bolero was influenced much more stronger with the Africans, slaves who arrived to Cuba early in the 20th century. Yes, the mix of these two cultures with the Spaniards and the Africans playing together, interacting, was the roots or the beginning of the Bolero. Not in the way we know the Bolero today, but it was its beginning, yes. At the same time of tango, definitely.
And do you see that Bolero has changed over time? For instance, we have that pinnacle of Agustin Lara, for instance.
But before Agustin Lara, we have to think that Bolero, it came from Cuba. So, and then from Cuba, the Cuban music influenced a lot of other countries, and also the Cuban music has been influenced by many other countries. For example, they are from Haiti, from Jamaica, from United States, from France.
That's right.
Cuba, the geographic position of the island was so important in those days, so the influence was so big. Even the Bolero being very popular in Cuba, when it went up to Mexico,
yes,
is when the Bolero, the big explosion, the big boom of
that's
Bolero,
right, that's right.
In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, no? And that's where Agustin Lara, Javier Solis, and many others made this music genre so popular in Latin America, even being a very easy or very basic rhythm composition.
Do you feel that, so you mentioned there is an African influence, what kind of instruments, for instance, do you think that will characterize that kind of influence?
Bolero, it is played mostly with guitars.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Clave, that is like those two,
yes,
good sticks, clave, requinto,
yes, mm-hmm,
bongo, and maracas. So the percussion, clave, bongo, and maracas, this is the black influence into the Bolero, no?
Yes, and at some point, trios were really essential in Bolero.
This is the input in Mexico. They created the trio Los Panchos.
Yes, that's right.
With the trio Los Panchos,
that's right.
They did a big explosion, and they became so popular with this kind of formation. Even then, they start adding other instruments into the formation, but the Bolero didn't change too much during the time because the love didn't change.
Yeah, that's right.
And Bolero is love. So we are here because one day my mom and my dad listened to a Bolero, to Los Panchos.
That's right. They fell in love. They couldn't resist.
That's why this kind of music is so nice. If you talk about Perfidia or Bésame Mucho, this is mark in the DNA of the world population today.
That's right. And do you feel that the death of Gardel in 1935 had an influence in the popularity of Bolero?
Some theories say that Gardel was like a big reference as a singer in those days, in all Latin America. When he passed away, that romantic place were taken by Bolero, and the fantastic singers and fantastic poems, Armando Manzanero. Then I want to say this, I don't know if you had enough time, but then, when in the 60s the balada came,
Yeah.
the Bolero was not dead, but
Yeah.
was asleep.
That's right.
For many, many years, like
That's
30 years.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And in the 90s, Luis Miguel and Armando Manzanero.
That's right. That's
they
right. That's right. And they tend to go back to classic boleros, like for instance, Bésame Mucho. I mean, maybe you can lead us off with Bésame Mucho. Excelente. Gracias.
I hope you enjoyed the interview with Emilio Bertrand. In the next topic, we will discuss the melodramatic sensibilities of Bolero.